3, 2, 1. Slate.
Hi, everybody.
Feel Cult. It's not only a lifestyle, it's also a flavor.
Good evening, Chris.
Yeah, this is a date in January, at the end of January. I'm Chris Hayes, and then, well, to my left, I don't know where the virtual left is. I've got my one of my hetero life mates, also fresh off the NBC Page program, Patrick Tackett.
Hi, everybody.
And then we have everybody's favorite chimney sweep coming from the cold hollows of Michigan, Mr. Joe Cariotti.
This scarf is not only fashionable, it looks good too.
It's functional.
I don't know about the hat though.
Yeah, I mean, how many Johnny Depps does it take to get a scarf like that?
Oh, actually, this is faux Depp.
It's faux
so
Depp?
You don't even have to worry. I didn't know Johnny Depps were hurt in the making of my scarf.
As opposed to most Depp?
Oh, no, it wasn't. Not at all.
Okay, so we ostensibly talk about cars, and Patrick has gone to the wonderful efforts to actually try and organize our thoughts this week.
Only a little bit. Just because the last couple times we've tried and it's gone a little haywire, so, it might be fun to try something new.
Although I should practice what I have been preaching for the last half of a decade, and that is, if you're doing a podcast, don't beat yourself up about the first 2 or 3 months of it, because you're not going to figure it out.
Months.
It's going to take you that long to really kind of figure things out. So on that note, to the news.
Yeah, there was the Tokyo Auto Salon, which is just one giant shiny show.
Mm-hmm.
Well, what did I miss from there? I know you were talking. You have some links on your nice document here, and I was looking at them. But what did I miss? Tell me.
Joe, you just gave half the audience epileptic seizures with that.
Yeah, you didn't miss anything. It was more just a matter of, we have some big events going on, so we should probably at least pay attention to, what's going on with it. But I personally always like to talk about the cars that they don't normally cover in those shows. We saw it at SEMA, we'll see it at, the Auto Salon. Those older restorations with these new fangled machines in them. So I wanted to know with you guys in these shows, what do you think of older cars with newer tech, newer cars with older tech?
I know I really, really want a Daihatsu Charade with a brand new Skyactiv X in it. Because, that's the hotness right there.
Right, that is the hotness, Chris.
Or, you could go Rob Dahm and throw a rotary in a pickup instead of a Corvette. You could throw it in like a Silverado 1500. It could just be no torque, all noise.
The rotary has to be the worst engine to put into a pickup.
It's just loud and it goes 5 miles an hour.
I know. That's kind of the point.
I think that would work better as a, oven to cook your food than it would be as a motor vehicle propulsion device.
It would legitimately be more efficient if you ran the rotary at a fixed RPM and charged a battery and then drove the truck like that.
Well, welcome. That is going to be the Mazda Speed Protege Truck 5000 bad idea for 2022.
Oh my gosh.
It's going to be an old B2300 chassis with a new Wankel design, running a generator, running a hybrid system, running on banana fumes. Yeah, just bad motor swaps. Yeah, it's always fun.
So what else was at the Tokyo Motor Show? It inspired, or the Auto Salon, is that what they call it?
Yes.
It inspired you because they had a lot of old, I'm very unfamiliar. I didn't see any of the news from it. I'm basically going in blind. So what was there that was so cool that inspired you to make the question about the motor swaps?
I mean, it's a combination of the old Datsun 2000s and the, being able to see these cars that we don't normally get. It's my favorite thing about going to any show that isn't in my hometown, It's because people and enthusiasts have access or put in the time to build these cars. I didn't really pay too much attention to the Auto Salon this year. It was more that, this is a car show that focuses a lot on the newest and shiniest, either technologies, body panels, anything under the sun. That's kind of what they highlight. So take a step back, look at some of the older vehicles and compare them to these really over-the-top builds.
I mean, there was one thing I saw that, there was almost a reenactment of my feud with Borla from years back, where it was one tuning group fighting with another tuning group over the fact that they were revving their cars. So that was, peak idiocy. People think the Japanese are smart as a rule. Ha ha. These gentlemen prove otherwise. I don't know. Something about Tokyo Auto Salon, it just feels like a slightly more classed up version of Hot Import Nights to me.
See, for me, this is the time of the year where the North American International Auto Show in Detroit is normally happening, but they moved it to the summer this year, thankfully, finally, after 30 years or whatever. And so I had
Ignore that giant splash of water on me.
I can't, Chris. I enjoyed it thoroughly.
I just I didn't even know that this thing existed, basically, because I've been so caught up, and it's so weird to have a January without this auto show in the city. So it's kind of weird thinking. I kind of feel like there's a void right now. So a lot of the things that you're talking about, I never even considered, but for old cars with new tech, yeah, I love. It's like resto mods, right? Japanese resto mods.
Yeah, exactly.
What's not to love about that? I mean, unless it's some garage queen that's just has 6 kilometers on it. I can't even say it right.
Kilometers.
Then keep it original. Kilometers. But then keep it that's fine. But I mean, if these cars are beat, then put some new parts in it and make it something nice. Now I'm doing the complete opposite with my little blue Miata. I'm just I could do period mods on it or whatever, and I could make it. I'm just putting OEM parts on it because I want to capture that the essence of the car. I feel like if you put too many new things on an old car, you start messing with the essence of what that car is. So you got a 240 and you start putting a bunch of these resto mod parts on it. What do you want out of the car? Do you want it to be a modern performer that's super light but still has the old look, or do you want it to give you the essence of the vehicle? For me, I still want the old-timey essence, as the hat indicates. That's what I want.
Okay, so you want the concrete mixer steering, you want the smell of leather and dust, you want that old classic feel.
We also got to get him some driving goggles so that his scarf can flow behind him in the wind as he's in his Miata.
I'll get him the gloves with the missing knuckle holes.
Yes.
Yeah, and then I can get a mechanic to sit next to me while I'm driving.
Or you could be like Blake Wrong and put a wood wheel in the Miata too.
Yeah.
Oh man, I'm not. So this was actually a conversation I was having because I all of a sudden I'm very aware of my mortality for whatever reason. It's probably because I'm 30 something or whatever. But do you trust old airbags?
Yeah, they're fine.
How far back do you go?
No, they're fine.
And say yeah.
I presume if I got a car that's older than 10 years, the airbags do not work.
I mean, I assume they would work, but I've had an old SRS airbag go out and punch me in the face in a 96 Cutlass when I got the front clip taken off when I ruined that car.
Yeah, I'm not saying it's going to be pleasant, but do I trust that they're going to function? Sure,
it's going to function.
If they haven't been blown.
But the brittleness and everything, the Takata recall kind of got me thinking, and I'm how brittle is the components? Am I just gonna get blasted in the face with shrapnel? No. Should I replace my steering wheel of my 1990 car with a wood steering wheel? Is that safer? I don't know. But these are the things I was thinking about this week.
Just that mystery dust in the face.
Yeah.
Joe, have you just been staring down the gullet of death all week long? Is that what it's been?
Basically, yeah. Every time if you drive a Miata in rural Michigan, yes, because like I pull out onto the street and I'm surrounded by all these bro trucks and semis, and I'm like, I got winter tires, I can get out of the way, I could stop quickly and whatever, but nothing matters if I just get ran over.
Right. Yeah, if you're just smushed.
So,
Have you maybe considered buying a car that you're more comfortable driving?
I sold the van. We went over.
I didn't say a van. There are any number of things. You used to have a CRV.
Yeah.
You know.
I know.
Joe, how about this? I would like you to tell me a budget, and I'm going to find you a car sight unseen, and then you're going to buy it sight unseen, and we're going to kind of document the next month of you living with this vehicle.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Okay.
This is a kick Patrick's been on for like the last week. He's like, what if we all just had fixed budgets and bought each other cars?
Right. And it'll just, give us a little window into each other's minds when it comes to buying a vehicle. Because
Oh my
I
gosh.
want to get you a car that your wife won't say it sounds hurt. And and Chris, I'd love to get you a car that is the farthest thing from a Porsche I could possibly get you to sit in.
Yeah, but I'm not just Porsche. I just happen to have one as a daily.
I appreciate that, but the last couple times we've talked about cars, your Macan has been, the thing that you enjoy the most. And then on top of it, there's, you recommended a Porsche for me. There's a number of opportunities where we could have gone to another vehicle.
I recommended the Porsche for you because it was a 959, and I know you love rally cars. That's why I recommend.
I do love rally cars.
Otherwise,
that
I
would
know
be a very fun
I know
rally
Porsche's
car.
not your thing, but the 959 is like one of the ultimate rally
Right,
cars. That's
but
why.
again, I agree. But the opportunity to put you in something, something that I can find on the California Craigslist, I want to get you to sit in for a month.
Maybe if we ever had a budget for the show, that would be doable. But I just can't have other people spending my money that way. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Well, you also had mentioned that you had the ability to turn a car around and make some money. You have this average that you've successfully made money on these cars, so it's a little bit of a challenge.
Yeah, but you gotta. You can't. I mean, you could shine shit if we saw that actually happen. But, like, I don't want to. I just like when things kind of fall into place with strategic planning and pestering people to buy their old cars.
Jesus.
So it's like a strategy.
All right. Well, if we get some funding, maybe we'll figure something out, because I'd love the opportunity again to...
I am interested, but my budget would be like, what can you do for $1,000?
Right.
And,
that's exactly what I was looking for. Because that's about as much money as I can spend on anything right now. So, and Chris, we get you a car for $1,000 in California. Oh, I would just love it.
It's going to be quite the pile.
It's going to be a skateboard.
That would be fun. That would be.
Well, the tricky thing is with buying a car in California, though, is that, like, the emissions testing here is at a different level than you guys are. So that can get spendy very quickly, Versus Michigan, I think, like, so long as you're not running open exhausts, they're like, okay, you're good.
No, you could run open exhaust. There is no testing. I'm not even joking. There's no emissions testing in Michigan. You bring it to our equivalent of the DMV is called the Secretary of State. You bring it there.
Wait, you go to the Secretary of State
you sign your
directly to
paperwork,
register
you're
a
good.
car in Michigan?
Yes, I do. What do other states do? I have no idea. I've never registered.
They have departments of motor vehicles?
DMV, yeah.
I just thought that was like a punchline that like Saturday Night Live
That's
used.
like
I have
every
no
other
idea what a
state.
DMV is.
No, we live in the DMV anytime we have to do anything car related.
Well, I'll have you know that the Secretary of State here in Michigan is a very efficient organization, and now that they have embraced the internet, it's great. Like, I love it. But actually, this ties into one of these like Twitter stories that I retweeted last week. One of the newscasters on Wood TV8 got the plate sent to her in the mail by the Michigan Secretary of State, our equivalent of the DMV, and the plate was Dick 24/7, and it was just It was just one of those random occurrences, and so she posted it up on Twitter and was like, I'm not going to be able to use this plate. We got to talk, Secretary of State.
Dear government, please help.
Yeah, so I was like, how much for that plate? That'd be hilarious.
Somebody probably would buy it off of her, wouldn't they?
I mean, the other option would be Dick's 365.
Oh.
Every damn day.
Well, I mean, what's worse, 24/7, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, or Dick 365? Because one is frequent. I mean, one is every hour on the hour, and the other is just once a day. So
I don't know. Based on the shirt that I'm wearing, it would be Dick 720.
720.
So. How busy are you as a person, first of all, before you start getting into figuring out your dick ratio for the day?
Well, I think the other thing is, the question is how sore are you? Jesus.
Lots
I
of
love
lube
the
in when
plate.
you start.
That's how you get old cars to work too. It's like the same. You need to put it on a shitty car. How does that thing start every day? The same.
A lot of lube and a push start.
Like, I gotta prime the fuel tank in a very specific way.
I gotta rev it and warm it up slow.
Don't. Anyway, so that news anchor from Wood TV8, she's actually has like an exclusive of like how the plates get made, and I'm like, oh, cool! I can't wait to watch that because I'm like I love custom plates. I've gotten them. Like I just like give the state money.
You're going to the bad place.
Oh my god, yeah. Froyo, here I go. But yeah, so like
butthole spiders.
Mm-hmm. Going in and going out.
Yeah. I have Pwn Noobs, which is like retro now, on my Navigator, and my plate on my Miata is Rad AF, which stands for Anthony Francesco, which is my brother's middle initial. It's a whole thing. I had to write the state, and they gave it to me, amazingly enough. And so yeah, I like custom plates, but
Chris, you have a custom plate, and you're on the opposite end of that spectrum. How do you feel about
No, I don't have a custom plate anymore.
Oh, you got rid of it?
I have a black plate now on the Vet. I have a black plate, heritage plate.
You finally got rid of, for those of you who didn't know, he had a license plate for a little while, Cal Stig.
Yes, I got that way back when like Top Gear was like a little niche show that people
season
did.
3, season 4, maybe.
Well,
yeah,
I mean,
before Top Gear was cool.
When Top Gear wasn't like, it hadn't become like a big thing yet, so it was kind of like it was like a little friendly nod to other people that knew that.
Right.
And then it got to be a giant thing, and I looked like an asshole. And I also, frankly, that doesn't bother me as much as the fact that I get so tired of everywhere I went, everybody had to ask me what that meant. And it was just so tiring.
So you didn't even get the little nod from like other fans and stuff. You got people who didn't know and didn't care.
You would sometimes, like, but it was like, yeah, after a while, everywhere you go, everybody asks you, what's it mean? And I'm just like, mind your business, you know? So.
Well, congratulations.
Yeah, the custom plate life, like, you gotta choose it. It doesn't choose you. And when you choose it and you pay the extra money for a custom plate, that's like with the territory. Having a custom plate's like, you know, it's like driving around with a car that people are interested in or something. I don't know. But I get it was going to be a nod, but it kind of sucks that it built up around you and you had to lose that.
It became a nuisance before it became anything actually fun.
I would say a good, like, 2 years after I got it, it became a nuisance. So it was just like, I had to redo my plates a while ago, and I wanted to go with the for people not familiar with like the California plating system, you have what are called the heritage plates here, which are the old-fashioned black background, yellow letter plates.
We got some heritage ones in Buffalo. We have yellow and blue, like navy blue. But do yours peel terribly like ours do?
No. But we also we're not covering them in salt. So.
Well, New York State basically made it a requirement that you get these new plates, these new retro plates, and they charged a fortune for them. You had to obviously send in your old ones and get the new ones. And then the first 2 years worth of these plates, they would peel almost immediately, not even Chris, not even in the salt or any of the bad weather. They would just f***ing peel.
They were just made poorly.
They were just, yeah, they weren't either actually matted to the metal or something, but they would peel. And so everybody who had to spend, out the ass for these new plates basically just got a metal stamped plate at the end of the day.
Actually, that's not, a plain metal plate that is just deteriorated because of their own shoddy quality is almost kind of cool. Because
that's kind of badass, but you could probably get a ticket for running a plate that's like decrepit, I'm sure.
Yeah, but then you just call the cop. Yeah, blame the state.
I didn't make it.
All this stuff. What a pain in the ass. But anyway, I don't even know how we got on the topic. I'm sorry for the non sequiturs. That's just how I operate.
It doesn't matter, Joe.
I mean,
it's a podcast.
It's not like Patrick, went and prepped us 3 days early with all these links and great topics, and then I'm just talking about f***ing license plates.
So, Joe, you were saying you kind of missed the auto show, but It seems as though Detroit maybe doesn't welcome the auto show as much as one might think, because Detroit did the most Detroit thing possible with the new Corvette that just sold for $3 million on the auction block. Did either of you happen to catch this?
I missed this. What's happening with this?
Do tell, Chris.
So the very first C8 off the line was auctioned off for charity, as these things usually are. Red C8, I think it was fairly well optioned out, blah, 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 sold for $3 million. The owner said he plans on never, ever driving it. Well, it was parked, somewhere curbside near the event, like immediately thereafter.
Oh, no.
And was parked by itself unattended for a while.
I know this story.
And, of course, it didn't last more than a short period of time without having its wheels stolen off the vehicle and left just very precariously resting on a single 4x4.
Is that what I saw? Was that image like? Oh my god!
Yes, it is. Yeah.
Yeah, that was real.
Detroit does
the
Detroit.
balls on these people to literally get these wheels off of a car, and you said this was at the event still?
It was parked basically right outside after they'd wrapped up. Yeah.
Oh my god! Wow. I mean, a little bit of a golf clap, but also.
Well, and ostensibly, with it being put up like that too, and now it's just kind of teetering on the front end and the back end. It's now just got lovely paint damage and probably a little bit of under chassis damage too as a result.
Totally worth the donation to charity.
$3 million and you get a f***ed up Corvette.
Well, I mean, they can afford it.
Now, what does Corvette do with that, or what does Chevy do with that at the end of the day? Do you think they fix it, or?
I don't know, but I would have my arm so far down the throat of whoever the idiot was that parked that thing outside after it sold for $3 million. Yeah, I mean, I'd have my arm so far down their throat I could wipe their ass. That's just poor judgment, to say the least. I mean, holy shit.
But, I mean, you don't expect the world to do something like that.
Joe, they parked it in downtown Detroit outside. Come on.
I watch YouTube videos of people robbing Amazon packages off of other people's porches. Yes, it's going to happen.
It was in West Village. It's not that bad.
Well, let me put it this way, Joe. Would you leave a Zonda unattended for hours just on the side of the road in somewhere in Detroit?
Absolutely not. You wouldn't. But
well, that's what this cost was $3 million, so it's comparable to a Zonda.
True.
How does okay, I realize that it's the first Corvette. And you get to tick off the options boxes. He didn't put the wheel locks on, or is that only at the dealer level that they do that?
That's probably a dealer level thing. That and the other thing is, dude, it's Michigan. GM has 5 different variants of wheel locks. Every wheel thief there probably has a version of it.
Oh, I know. Can you imagine? So now you got these C8. You put your the mind of a thief. Be a thief for a minute.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now you have these C8 wheels. How the do you offload them? Because
you don't now. You're married to those until a lot of C8s are kicking around.
Yeah, it's you're gonna have to wait at least the first year just to slide those.
Better question. If you can't get rid of them, what do you put them on?
You see some. Oh man, I'm gonna see like a donked out Cadillac with those wheels on it, and it's gonna be awesome.
Golf Rabbit stands for days on a Golf Rabbit.
I'm thinking those wheels, I mean, given that that's a new platform, right? Yeah, the lug spacing is probably the same, but like the back spacing and everything on those probably doesn't even come close to matching anything else in the entire GM lineup.
No, and they're monstrous wheels to
huge.
begin with. They're huge.
Yeah.
Well, they're big, but they're not really any bigger than the Vette wheels have been over the last 20 years.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Like, you're either gonna have to put them on a Corvette or like another supercar, and those are all in garages and stuff, or
maybe, I mean, again, back spacing, who knows, but maybe a Camaro, maybe.
That's what's gonna happen. We're gonna see like a 2016 Camaro with these C8 Vette wheels on it. That's what's gonna happen.
Or no, it'll be like a base model, like 2014 Camaro with the V6.
Yes,
in an automatic.
It's the V6, but it has all the stickers and shit on it. Like it's a ZL something like. ZL1, it's a ZR1 Camaro. Like somebody's got all the wrong decals and shit on it. I will keep an eye out for that, for those wheels on Craigslist.
Yeah, they'll probably show up on Craigslist. Speaking of Detroit's finest, Ford keeps racking up the hits. That new Explorer. Hoo boy. Like Explorer.
What's the latest on the new Explorer, Chris? Because I have opinions.
It's expensive for what it is and inferior to everything else at its price. And Ford's just like, yep, good enough. I experienced one very recently, and I was woefully underwhelmed.
It's been a long time since they made any kind of change to that car that actually would be interesting.
Yeah.
The only thing I'll give them credit for is that they moved the Explorer back to a primarily rear-wheel drive-based platform where it's all-wheel drive, but the engine is, it's longitudinal rather than...
It is rear-wheel drive. It is designed rear-wheel drive first.
Yeah.
With the...
Which ups the towing capacity. I give them the credit on that, but...
But if you look at the towing capacity compared to the front-wheel drive-based outgoing model... it's not that much right now.
Right.
But the Explorer's kind of weird, and I actually that's actually built out of Chicago, and they retooled an entire plant in Chicago in less than a year to make that new Explorer, and
it feels like it.
Real talk, it's a first-year car, and that plant just got retooled.
Yeah.
You might want to wait a year or two before you go with cars. Like everybody knows.
Yeah, I saw one on hand the other day, and then I actually saw Savage Geese. I saw they put up their video on it, and I just wanted to see what they had to think of it because they've got
Savage Geese.
They come to it with very reasonable viewpoints for the most part, and their press vehicle already had out the door basically already had defects on the seats.
That is not surprising. That is really not surprising. With how much think of how tough it is to just if you do something around the house, right? And you got a project, you're gonna redo a room. Imagine an entire factory just gutting it, putting all new stuff in. You're gonna have kinks to work out. It's
the touchscreen on it.
The tolerances.
My God, the touchscreen. It is I ragged on, when I was doing Hooniverse and TSD, I ragged on the Mercedes touchscreens for the longest time because they were just, it looked like you took an Amazon, an Amazon Fire tablet and just literally glued it to the dashboard. That looks superior to what Ford has done on this new one.
It's a portrait mounted, what is it, a 15 by 6? It's not even that big. It's 12 and a half or something.
But it's they didn't even incorporate it into any of the dash at all. It's they literally just shoved it on top and were good enough.
So remember the Fiat 500, how it had the Garmin that you slid into the post and that was the navigation system just kind of sticking out?
Yeah.
That was egregious and bad, but I understood why they did it that way. And Actually, if you watch any Savage Geese videos, he's always railing on the car companies for doing this. That kind of tacked on, like they just took like a Nexus tablet from like 6 years ago and then like threw it on the car.
But even like Mercedes does a shitty job of it, but even that looks better than the Explorer.
I don't like it. I don't like any of them. It actually is such a turnoff for the car, for any car that does that. And it's so weird because it's like we had a good ergonomic setup for so long, and we're starting to with it in ways that don't make any sense. And Honda, they did the same thing across their cars. They're like, oh, we're gonna do touchscreens for everything, and your volume key to go up and down is connected to the touchscreen. It's not a rotary dial or whatever. But like, man, it is really, really tough. And I think we're getting back to where we were as far as usability, but when you're talking about like the design of the touchscreen and just the way that the dash flows together, and this is your central computing component, this is your central control component for everything, and you're just going to make it look like some tacked on, like you turned a shitty laptop sideways. It just doesn't work for me either. And I didn't know how much I hated this design characteristic. I always knew I didn't like it until I started watching Savage Geese videos, because then I was like, yeah, exactly. He's mad like I'm mad. I should be at least as mad as him. And so, like...
I didn't know why I was upset, but now I have a reason.
Yeah, it's like your grandma watching Fox News going in and railing against the immigrants or something, It's a reaffirmation of things that you're already biased against.
Right. Oh, that's exactly what happened. I mean, don't ever talk about my grandma that way though, Chris.
Well, the irony,
she
of
was a
course,
nice lady.
Your grandmother is an immigrant, so
she's a nice lady, and she didn't even have cable, so
she's just a nice old Italian lady. That's all. But anyway, so very underwhelmed with that, with the Explorer, and the fact that they want $60,000 in it. Like, everything Ford's doing right now is they're like, okay, let's kill all the cars, and we're going to do nothing but SUVs, and then we're going to try and charge premium values for SUVs. But okay, so
it's not limited just to Ford though. Like, I've been digging around SUVs for the last couple months, and every single one of them has, a couple nice little amenities here and there, but they're charging out the ass, and every add-on is insane.
Mm-hmm.
And so by the time you're done with a car that you actually like or can imagine spending time in, you're spending $60,000 for an SUV.
Yeah, you can. I mean, I will say, if you look at Hyundai and Chevy and Honda,
the Telluride is nice.
Yeah, I think
the Kia, is that Kia? Hold on.
Yeah, it's the Kia Telluride.
Yeah, because there's the Hyundai Palisade. That's like, and then the Kia Telluride. Both of those are really nice. I actually rode in the Telluride.
Telluride, man. Telluride.
Coordinate.
Rex well running. So I actually rode in the Telluride, and it was impressive. They had like an off-road course set up, and I only was on the passenger side of it, but it was really a nice place to be. I do think it's nicer than the base Explorer. it's an unfair comparison because this Telluride was just like massively overdone, but the Explorers start like at 33 or 34. There's way better options out there, but I feel like it's gonna be one of those cars that the police are gonna buy. It's gonna be a fleet sales vehicle. Like, it just...
Well, like, even at that point, if you're buying an SUV or a truck to be a utilitarian thing and you're beating up on it and you don't need a whole lot of amenities, like, yeah, that's kind of great. But you're going to spend a lot of time in there, so you need at least some of these little features that you have in every vehicle to run well and to look nice, or to at least feel nice. It's just a little bit of a nightmare.
Which goes back to that, touchscreen issue that's the new Explorer has. I got you.
The other thing is like, if we look at this segment, right? We got Ford that like has this idea. They think that they're like a luxury manufacturer with their pricing at this point.
Lincoln.
Right. At least the Lincoln stuff is legitimately nice, but like...
No, I'm saying they want to be Lincoln. They're trying to have that like air of Lincoln where, leather seats and, Heated
always
steering
done
wheels.
that though. Like, look, they've had Eddie Bauer and limited editions and all these like
King Ranch
stupid
bullshit and yeah.
Yeah.
Whereas
they've always
like
had that.
I go back and I point to it again of like you can go back to point to like Honda and like I would say like Honda, Toyota, and probably Chevy still make like what are, hey, this is a basic SUV that's not like that you don't have to spend $1 billion on, and we're not going to pretend it's fancy. It just is adequate as a little SUV, and there you go. Yeah.
Wait, what are you thinking in the Chevy lineup? Because
the Blazer's not like it's not a brilliant car, but it's like it's okay. It's just like a middle of the road. It's an SUV. It's going to do what you need it to do.
I haven't given that a fair shake.
They still had the Equinox for a while too, and those all were like the what was it, the Ford Escape? So kind of plasticky, but still really utilitarian, which ties in, with the CRVs of old and those vehicles where you get something where you don't care if somebody's spilling food or oil or truck parts or anything on it.
The way the average public buys a car is way different than the way we think of buying cars or trucks or whatever, crossovers, now that we're talking about this kind of stuff. Like when we're talking about it, we're talking about dynamics and features and whatever, but a lot of it comes down to financing options available and safety features. When you talk to people that aren't us, this is the things that they're worried about or wondering about.
Usually, and this is coming from years and years and years of experience of doing automotive podcasts and shit at this point, of, hey, there's this thing I kind of like. Okay, what do you think of it? Oh, yeah, well, I already bought it anyway, so I just want you to tell me that I bought the right thing. Because usually people come into these things and they don't actually want to hear anything objective about it.
No, they just want to hear you say, cool, man!
Yeah, they want you to affirm their decision that they've already made. Just like my sister and my brother-in-law bought a couple of used Kias that were really not great values. And they came back to me going, what do you think about these cars? And I go, they're not great, and they depreciate like a rock. They're vehicles.
Just dash their hopes.
And they're like, oh, well, we already bought them. And I'm like, well, fantastic. I mean, it was just like, this is what people do, is they don't listen to things logically.
Yeah, but the right answer for us is not the right answer for most people. Like the right answer for us is like, I don't know, something performance oriented or whatever.
The right answer is to go get your ass in a seat, drive the vehicle, then do it again over and over and over until you find a car that you actually like and works for you.
Right.
So in that's when I'm doing buying advice for people, that's where I start. I say, how many cars did you drive before you start even talking?
0.
Yeah.
Fucking goose egg.
Yeah. And so I'm actually really happy that even though recently 3 of my good friends all bought new cars, and they went with things that I wouldn't necessarily have picked for myself or my family, but they had their reasons, and their opinions were well fleshed out, well thought out, and they can back up why they went with what they went. They didn't just say, well, I'm going to buy a new Ford Explorer because I've always been buying Fords, and this is the Ford that's in the segment.
But that's how so many people buy.
Yeah, brand loyalty.
Right.
Brand loyalty is the most ridiculous thing in the world.
But you get discounts. You get good discounts for it.
There's conquest. You get conquest discounts, and salespeople like try to get you out of cars too. There's all kinds of ways to get discounts. But yeah, you're right. Like returning leases or whatever the hell they call them.
Part of the Ford family.
Or the other thing that's ridiculous is like people that are going to go and buy a $60,000 Explorer. It's just like, hey, why don't you go like take a look at like CarMax or go to another used dealership or something like that? And like, yeah, German cars aren't great in terms of reliability generally, but they're really nice and cushy generally speaking. If you can get like a CarMax warranty or an extended,
we tried the Atlas and that was fairly enjoyable. It was a pretty naked version of it, but at the same time, the space was gargantuan. Like the actual environment was nice. The price was a little high, but it was a brand new car, so like you can't really be too mad about that. But if you take 10 minutes and go find one low mileage or go actually drive it and find out whether or not the sport button, causes the car to stop.
Or go buy a 5 or 6 year old Lexus for the same kind of money. That's going to be super nice and is going to run forever too.
That's been my answer to so many boomers that are just like buying their last car before they retire. I'm like, go buy a used Lexus. Like, well, I want something nice that's gonna last, but it needs to be, nice but still reliable. I'm like, 2-year-old Lexus, go get it. Like, good.
You got that. The other answer that's really good though on that front is the Genesis.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. But that's my dirty little secret. I want those to be very low price.
Oh, they're gonna be for quite some time, Joe. Don't worry about that.
Yeah.
You could go buy a Genesis G80 or an Equus or something for you can get a G80 for like $12,000 or $15,000 in really good shape.
If you don't care about brand and you don't care about the dealership experience, then yes. But a lot of the boomers and older generation X people, they do not want they do not want to deal with Kia or Hyundai service departments and dealership experiences.
But if you've either got a good independent shop, right?
Yeah, your own personal tech.
Or you have a Genesis dealer near you, then that's not bad.
But that's again I'm talking about the general public and what they're expecting, and they expect a certain level of sophistication when you're buying like a luxury vehicle, not like where I'm just like, oh, this is the perfect intersection of value and value is what I'm talking about. So this is a perfect intersection that I'm looking for. Yeah, I can put up with a bad dealership experience because I'll never take it to the dealership.
Joe, if you're buying a $15,000 Genesis, that's like a very nice car, right? If you're buying a used $15,000 Genesis, are you taking that to the dealership and paying dealership prices?
No, I won't. But that's what people do. They take them to the dealership. It's crazy.
I don't think that your general market that's going to be buying the $15,000 car is going to go take it to the dealership to get worked on for the most part.
Do you guys have any experience with these like certified pre-owned Mercedes and Lexuses and any of that experience?
Yeah.
Like, are those worth the while? Are
they can be.
A bunch of smoke.
They can be. I wasn't specifically looking at the Mercedes or the BMW stuff, but when I was shopping around for the Macan, like the CPO stuff with Porsche was super reasonable, actually. Right. You can get a CPO Macan like all day long, like really a wide variety from between 35 and 50.
But I'm talking about the
50K.
service, like going in and getting the repairs that you need, or going in and getting the maintenance you need.
Oh yeah, dude, it's the full experience.
I actually, my dad just got out of a 335 certified pre-owned 335, and when he got it, they even they have all kind. It's just like buying a new car. They try to sprinkle in all these things like the maintenance or whatever into the price, but so like you can prepay for things to go wrong for like 100,000 miles plus on everything, and so you can drive the car like it's a new car for miles and miles and miles, depending on what you do in the financing side of things. But what he did was he prepaid for a bunch of the stuff, used the car up completely, and handed it back and just leased an Audi e-tron, which I've gotten to drive. Well, I'll talk about that when I get a little bit more experience behind the wheel. Let me drive it more, and then I'll come with a real opinion, because I've only driven it for a few miles, and that wasn't enough to form a good opinion of it. So,
my dad just bought last year. He bought a Volt because he basically wanted no fuel charges whatsoever. His drive to work is about 6 miles. He's put exactly 1 tank of gas in it since he purchased the car about a year and a half ago.
It's amazing. Great buy. That's such a great. You can go I don't know if it's lease or buy a Volt for like once, or Bolt.
They're dead. It's a dead model now. You can't buy them anymore or lease them. So you got to buy used.
I just saw him running leases for like $169 a month. I think it was in California too. I was like, shit, that's great. I'm going to fly to California and then drive it across the country. My drive to work's like 6 miles also, so it would work.
Wow. Yeah.
I don't know. I think
that must have been somebody clearing out inventory.
Yeah, they are. They definitely are. The certified pre-owned seems like a pretty good way to go if you're driving your car and using your car. But if you're just getting it as like cheap, honest transportation, you kind of can get taken to the cleaner by adding stuff on at the dealership level.
It depends. It depends. Like, I made the claim, I made the call when I bought my car. It was like either the CarMax warranty or CPO on that, just because if anything goes wrong on that, it's going to be like, well, here's $5,000 to $10,000 worth of expenses. So, and I'm not usually a big warranty guy, but on yeah. Although
on your Macan, because it's a German car and things get expensive.
Although the funny thing, the irony is, it's like I buy the warranty on and Porsche, generally speaking, in the last 5 to 8 years has been pretty solid. Like, the Macans are known to be almost bulletproof. So I bought it and I'll probably never use it.
But the peace of mind, it helps you sleep at night.
Yeah.
Like it's kind of one of those things that if you didn't have it, you'd probably worry about it more. And it's just one of those things that you want to.
You don't have to think about. It's completely out of sight and out of mind. You don't have to worry about it for a second.
There's air suspension. There's a dual clutch transmission. There's a couple of turbos strapped to it. It's just like there's all the room in the world for something very expensive to break. So,
but after the first gen, not Cayman, Cayenne. The first gen Cayenne was a giant pile of shit. Had lots of problems. After that, I don't know if Porsche has really had really big reliability issues.
No, once they fixed, the last big thing were the IMS problems.
But that was only if you were pulling major G's on like a race course. That for most people.
No. Those things could blow. It didn't take much because it basically just became an oil starvation issue on that bearing. At which point you could literally just be driving around town doing normal stuff and just destroy the engine.
What years was that though? Was that early Caymans?
It started in the 996 and then ended at the 997.2. That's when that ended.
Okay. Then
so
that's
you're talking
reasonable.
about 10 years or so.
That's about right. Yeah, that's why I say just buy an old Lexus. Buy a 2-year-old Lexus. Buy a certified pre-owned Lexus. Run the wheels off of it. Like that's your move. I mean,
yeah, they're fine. It's just like I expect my mom's Camry to last her until she's dead. Honestly.
Oh my gosh. Well, morbid, but also probably true.
Yeah, it's the last car she'll ever need.
It's just a matter of which one's more reliable.
Your mom or the Camry? You choose.
Oh, the Camry's more reliable.
Sorry, Chris's mom.
You know what? That's not saying much. That is not saying much because, Camrys are more reliable than a lot of people I know. So it's kind of like it's not bad to say.
I don't know if more reliable, but it's got less drama attached to it. I'll put it that way.
that's for damn sure. Oh man, oh god, I kind of want to do like a quiz to be like, what car are you?
He's that pickup truck from the Cars movie.
Oh god, I don't even know what they're called, but I know what one you're talking about. I think I'd be
Isn't that Larry the Cable Guy?
Yes, it is. Yeah.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. He turns into a secret agent in the second one or something like that. Spoiler alert for Cars 2. He's a secret agent. So, good job, Chris. This is what my spirit vehicle is that StarCraft conversion van, and somebody else is in it right now, and it makes me so sad.
You're going to see her driving down the street one day, and you're going to be like, that's the one. It's that one. That's mine.
I know. I do miss
single
it.
Sad tear.
A single, rolls down his cheek into his very well-oiled beard.
No, you know what, Joe? I think your actual spirit vehicle is the Ring Brothers Decoliner.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That would be like my final form if I was like
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like that's the one where you've made your money and you're like, you know what? I really want to do this, but I still want to be a little weird.
Yeah, you're right. No, that would be perfect.
Mine would be the Tim Burton Batmobile.
That probably would be your spirit vehicle. That's a good choice for yourself. I like that. Oh man, I don't know what Chris's spirit vehicle would be.
Porsche Macan.
Nah.
It's quick. It's reliable. It's like
It's got launch mode.
launch control. Yeah.
I think here's the thing. I like that car. It's not a forever car for me though.
It's not. That's the thing about it. Like it's. I understand why you would pick it because it's the best crossover. It does everything.
It really does. As much as I harp on it, it's a good vehicle.
I needed something
It's not
practical.
even like you can hate to love the thing. It's a good car to drive. Like there's just nothing to not like.
Honestly, the next closest one to that was going to be a Golf R for me.
The Golf, yeah. Oh man, I really like those. I've kind of been lusting after those, and then I really want to drive a Focus RS because everybody says the suspension is like super rough on that, and I'm like,
Yeah.
how bad could it be? Like let me take a.
It is pretty
Oh,
rough.
dude, it's bad. It's really bad.
So like, there's a weird circumstance with some Honda S2000s where when you're sitting in them, it feels like you're sitting directly on an I-beam, and so that's when people really go crazy with their suspension mods, and so you feel everything, and not in particularly a fun kind of way. Like you feel everything.
Yeah, to give you an idea, my Fiesta ST with all the mods on it was cushier than Focus RS is.
My Evo 10 was softer.
What? Oh man, yeah. I can't live with that.
I sat down with one of the Ford powertrain directors 3 years ago or something like that in Venice. Matt and Zach and I were out with him, and I go, dude, you gotta let up on the spring rates on these cars, and his answer was, you people should build better roads. And I'm like, you know, that's not how that works, right? And he goes, well, we developed these things. We developed these cars, these hot hatches in Europe. And he goes, Germany has better roads. And I go, yeah, but that doesn't apply to us.
Yeah. Farthest
So-
thing from the truth.
And he was just kind of a dismissive dick about it.
Yeah, it was
So-
his way of saying, "F off, Chris."
Yeah, pretty much.
You know what though? I mean, like they built that car for hardcore track use, basically. So
And like SCCA and you know,
right, so it's
rallycross
like
and
if you
stuff
want
like
a
that.
plush ride, go with the ST. And it's not even a conversation we could have anymore because they fucking killed it.
It's not better. The ST isn't better. It's just
Is it
as
really?
bad.
See, I thought it was plush. I thought it was a lot plusher.
No, the Focus ST's not as rough.
Well, the downside, or the whole thing is that, yes, it is a little bit softer than the RS, but at the same time, because it's a little bit smaller and lighter, the whole thing bounces and jumps. So basically, anytime...
Oh, you mean the Fiesta ST?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm talking.
Okay.
I'm talking Focus ST
Yes.
because
okay.
that's a plusher ride. I know. I've ridden in those.
Yes, the Focus ST is the most reasonable ride out of the three of those. The Fiesta ST stock isn't awful. Honestly, it's actually oversprung a little bit stock, so you change out the dampers on it and you go change out the dampers and the springs on it, and it's actually pretty good.
But that's what you want to do right after you get a car, is to completely change everything about it.
That's a good time to do it because then you can appreciate it for the longest amount of time, right? Isn't that the new way of thinking? So you spend money on your car faster.
I actually kind of do. I actually kind of like to get the mods out of the way
mean-
early so that I can actually enjoy it for the maximum length of time.
See,
but-
I'm the opposite. It's like I'm gonna live with this for a while so I could really understand it. So then when I do make a mod or a change or just fix the fucking thing, then I'm like, wow, this is amazing. I can really.
I'm a little closer to Joe's perspective on that. Like, I'll drive and beat the car up as hard as I can as it is and put it under, like, different conditions, rainy, snowy, gravel. Like, I'll check a car and everything and then make my decision as to what needs to be changed or what should be swapped out and slowly build up rather than, like, have a game plan for a build and then try and reel it back once I've...
Yeah, I don't reel anything back. That's the thing. You know.
I think-
Patrick, you've
yeah,
known me
true.
for about a decade. You know I don't really reel things back.
No,
So-
no. The closest way you get to reeling things back is just to get rid of the thing and get a new project going. Just wash your hands of it and be done.
Fill this void with something new.
Yeah, pretty much.
So I think we've reached the end of the show here, but we have one section left that we definitely have to cover. Patrick, this was a great idea. Let's ask the audience. What are you asking the audience this week, Patrick?
I'm asking the same thing I asked last week, which was, will you send me different jackets to wear or nerdy shirts? Because every episode I'm going to do my best to have a different jacket or a different shirt. and keep that going throughout all of our recordings. So if you got something, send us a message. We're setting up our email right now. We have our Instagram, so you can at least DM us for now.
Yeah, our Instagram is @FuelCult, by the way.
Keep in mind, if
that.
you're sending things to Patrick is about 6'2", so he's not a small person.
He's a tall man.
Yeah, technically, I'm at the very minimum of 40 long, and normally I'm a 42 long, depending on how many tacos I've eaten that month.
My Ask the Audience is, what should I swap into this Miata? I kind of was alluding to that last time we talked, but when this 1.6 liter engine decides to explode, what should I swap into this? Should I just do the flying Miata V8? Should I put the NC motor in it? Should I convert it to electric? Let me know. What do you think is the best option for my 1990 Miata?
To the viewers, we span across the entire country. Chris is in California, Joe is in Detroit, I'm in Western New York. So we have figuratively access to every shop, every track in the U.S. or even, North America. And I want to know, and I want to have you reach out to us and tell us where you want us to go. Because I'm probably going to hit up Toronto and New York, and I'd love to go do a trek down to some of the runs in Ohio. There's the Dragon's Tail run every year in Pennsylvania that I want to go check out. There's so many shops between here and North Carolina and New York City and Toronto and stuff like that. So viewers, if you have any suggestions, please send them our way. I'd love to know where you think we should go. And comment section, top 3 liked comments, we'll go from there.
Yeah, that's likewise. I'll be bouncing around here in Southern California, and then Joe. Well, Detroit doesn't have anything to do with cars, so
no. I mean, like if you guys know a few things, like just let me know. But like it's just like so.
I hear there's a guy with some C8 wheels for sale.
Yeah, so put that on the Miata. That's what I need. I'd have to change a lot to get that done. Chris, what are you asking the audience for this week?
I'm asking the audience for continuing to watch, potentially subscribing and liking things.
Aww, that's cute.
I don't really have anything clever off the top of my head, so I'm just going to leave it at that.
No, that works.
That's a good one.
That totally works.
This has been Fuel Cult.
Always use your blinker. Welcome to the cult.
We're coordinated, guys. We really got this.
I like your enunciation on the word coordinated.
Coordinated?
Coordinated. I can't even say it like you fancy East Coast piece of shit. Coordinated.
That's the correct way to pronounce it, is it not?
Coordinated. It's the enunciation. How are you supposed to say it?
Coordinating.
Say Connecticut. Connecticut. Okay.
Hey Fuel Junkies, Patrick here from Fuel Cult. Did you like what you saw here today? Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe for more content from the guys at Fuel Cult. And don't forget to check out our uncensored podcast at shoutengine.com/fuelcult.